watching a lot more than I should be, so I think I just need to go get properly.
Chip Willis gets to wear your dad's comment.
Is that, Davis's coach? I heard him and some other guy. I don't know if Chip will have time for me, but.
Yes, we can say we can't stay here because it's too cold.
It is cool.
I have a heater on in the office today. I have to go to my car.
It's frozen. I didn't even want to.
All right, guys. It's 5:30. Let us bring the City of Spartanburg City Council meeting to order. We're going to stand for a moment of silence, then be led by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen.
Amen.
Mayor Pro Tem, you might lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, we have the approval of the minutes for the May 12th, 2025 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Item 4, approval of the agenda for the May 27th, 2025 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? And before we go any further, as was mentioned at the last City Council meeting with Councilman Rob Rain's appointment, he has taken on his appointment, so that seat will be vacant until there's a new council person that will be voted on in November. So, but thank Rain for his service. And item 5, public comment? None. Item 6, update from the Spartanburg African American Heritage and Cultural Committee. Presenter, Mr. Mitch Kennedy, Deputy City Manager. Mitch.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I am not Mitch, but I'm just introducing the more important group that's here. As Marilyn Wing, I am just wanting to speak to the timing of some of the things that are happening in our community. We have all of this amazing development taking place as it relates to downtown economic development, but we're also becoming a huge cultural hub for the county, and wanted to take an opportunity with the timing of the cultural monument unveiling coming up on June 14th to give the Spartanburg African American Heritage and Culture Committee an opportunity to speak to some of the work that they've done as a part of making this monument possible, in addition to some other things that they've done over the past years and what we hope to continue in partnership with this committee. Again, a lot of these things that have been taking place has been done in collaboration with them. So I'll go ahead and invite our former mayor, James E. Talley, up, who is also the current chairman, to give the presentation.
All right, thank you. Mayor Talley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor,
Thank
Council.
you, sir.
Thank you for this. Thank you for this opportunity to say to you thanks for the work that you have done, that you put in, your staff has put in, Mitch and Marilyn. I know it's tough when you start to name names, but they've been there throughout the project. Way back when we started, we went to Ohio to take a look at a wall, and brought us back here to bring out a certain amount of pride that's in Spartanburg. And in Spartanburg, we have a tremendous amount of pride, and a lot of it we have not explored. We have not let people know exactly what we have in Spartanburg. So the monument will be erected on the south side of town, but it's for the entire city of Spartanburg. The people on that monument will be from all across the city. And it is, the pride part is, we take a look at ourselves and take a look at the people that have gone on before us to say to them, thank you, because it put us in a position now to wherein we can just explore and let our young people see exactly what they can become. There are a lot of us that came from I don't know how to put it, what the poorest word you can say means, but by the grace of God and the help of this community, we were able to do things that we never thought we could do. So there's a great deal of pride going on into that monument. The second thing is I guess it's the education part. There's a lot of educators on there, but the education part is to let the young people know and let the community know exactly what has happened throughout the years here in Spartanburg. What has been going on, how we overcame certain things and how we developed and made certain things happen that nobody thought would ever happen. So that monument does that to us. It helps us to see that. It helps to educate the young people in doing that. And it also gives the recognition of it, of a group of people that worked extremely hard, and I can't name them all, but that committee that we put together, that worked extremely hard. There's no time too late, no time too early to call. There's not a meeting too long, there's not a meeting too many. They are there, they're always working, they're always finding new ways to make sure that we recognize the things that are happening in Spartanburg. And so the pride and the education and the recognition, those are three of the things that help make this monument what it is today. And the number one item I think would be, excuse me, the number one item that I think would be is the cooperation. And we've had cooperation from the city, cooperation from the state, Ms. Rosalind Henderson Myers, I've known her since she's a baby and stopped on her name. Rosalind Henderson Myers put together an effort, some financing and getting the financing done. So that helped. Former Representative Brenda Lee, who had a great deal of intelligence about how things work in Columbia and helped guide us through the maze to get to where we needed to go. Those are the type things, those are the type people. And then there are others, I don't want to take too long, but that the cooperation that was developed through those efforts has put this monument where it is today. It's put this city where it is today. There will be people coming to see what Spartanburg has done. And I think you can be extremely proud of it. Everyone can be proud of it. I am. To be a part of it, when asked to be a part of it, I had some doubt at first. And Mitch says, "Oh, come on, Cole, you can do this." And so he twisted my arm, so Mitch owes me another arm. But the main thing is the cooperation. Sure, we had some ups and downs, and we argued about it and screamed and yelled at each other. But then when it was all over, when we walked out of that room, we walked out together, we worked hard together, and we continue to work to make sure. And so we want to invite you all to the unveiling. If you hadn't decided to be there, please be there when the unveiling comes around, because it is extremely important, not just to this committee, but to the entire city of Spartanburg, to make this one of the biggest items that they've seen in a long time. Sure, baseball team is here, great, I love it. I love what's going on downtown, but I think this one single item kind of brings it all together and it puts it all in one spot. And with that, I'll say thank you again, especially for the work that you've done, the efforts that you've put there. There's no time too late for me to call Mitch and Marilyn. I know they said, well, I'll be glad when it's over, because he just calls every time. But they are really jewels for the city. And I think that I don't think this project could have gone any smoother without them. And again, we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Word, okay, go ahead. Marilyn, were you coming back?
Yeah, so Ms. Price will come up and speak next, along with Brad Steinecke, as members of the committee to speak to some of the other projects that they've been a part of and to give a broader overview of some of the impacts of the committee itself.
Okay.
Now, of course, Mitch says to me, make it brief now, because we got a long meeting tonight, Brenda. Y'all think I'm listening to him? Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor and City Council members. Before I continue, I want our members to please stand from the African American Heritage Committee. Just a small number here tonight, but I wanted you to at least see who they are as I go through this information to share with you. I'm Brenda Lee Price, Chair of the History Committee for the Spartanburg African American Heritage and Culture Committee, which was established in 2021. Our membership is made up of individuals who are committed and dedicated people who have passion for local history and research. We are a committee that love the city and the county of Spartanburg. I'm gonna repeat that. We love the city and we love this county because we don't get paid. And we work hours in and hours out, 7 days a week sometimes. But again, it's because we love the city and county. In 2022, we were given the task of researching local sites which were included in the Green Book. Brad is helping me.
Hope y'all
See, that's the Green Book. If not, you need to get a copy. Within the writings of this book, there are 15 sites that we know today are mentioned in the book. To name a few, the old cemetery on Cemetery Street, where the remains, I want you to listen very clearly to this part, where the remains of many enslaved and early freemen who were originally buried in Spartanburg African American Village Cemetery. That was the first cemetery on west of Morgan Square. When the rail yards were expanded around 1910, those bodies were exhumed and moved to this site, the Cemetery Street site. Based on our research, you can look it up in the Green Book, written newspaper accounts and verbal stories, one in particular told to me by Miss Farabelle Foster, who is the granddaughter of Miss Mary H. Wright. More information, again, can be verified in the Green Book and, of course, in North of Maine. You all know the author, one of the authors of North of Maine, right? So yes. It's in there. The research well documented. Another site is the historical Mount Moriah Baptist Church, founded by Joseph Young, who preached to the black members of Spartanburg First Baptist Church before the Civil War. That happened right here in Spartanburg. Mr. Young's descendants will be serving this year as the Grand Marshal for the parade, the Jubilee Parade. I think someone mentioned it earlier about them being here. It will be held the third Saturday in June, 10 o'clock a.m. It will begin at the corner of Cornerstone Baptist Church, traveling through the community. We're going to come through the community so that senior citizens and our children will actually have an opportunity to see what a parade looks like. We will continue to South Church Street down Calder Avenue. Now let's turn our attention back to the mentioning of the 15 sites. It's stated in the Green Book that only 2, maybe 3 have historical markers. And I'm often asked to give tours of these communities, and I'm embarrassed, to be honest with you, that we have not embraced the rich history of the African American community with a historical marker. The Community Weavers is a program where we recognize and celebrate leaders in the community. Lastly, I recently discovered the 1979 original drawings of the Mary H. Wright Greenway Park proposed by Representative Barksdale Sr. From North Dean Street and Sam Manning. Some of you are probably old enough as I am to remember Representative Sam Manning and Representative Barksdale. This is how the concept of where we are now in the Greenway with the Mary H. Wright, this is how they did it. They drew it, drawing of it here. They were definitely an unlikely pair. One lived in Converse Heights and one lived on the north side, but they worked together for the good of this community. And we would like to continue to do that. But you all are some smart people, and I hope you can find a way that we can document the rich history of our community. It's all of our community, but there's so many wonderful stories. If you hadn't read North of Maine, I'm not pitching the book, I'm just saying, read North of Maine to really continue to see the richness of this community, how this community came together and worked together as one. You have many examples of the Barksdales and Sam Mannings working together. I have to give a shout out to Senator Reese, who started this whole process of placing the money in the budget so that the state would make money available for projects like this. Thank you. Mitch, did I do okay? Right, thank you.
Mayor Talley spoke very eloquently about the mission and ideas behind the Southside Cultural Monument. So I won't spend too much time recapping that, but I'll just say that our community's involvement has spanned about 4 years of looking through historic records, finding photographs, and really curating all of the Spartanburg's rich history to identify the people, places, and organizations that have contributed in such a way to warrant recognition on this monument. So there's a lot of information that's on here. In addition to being on the monument itself, we're now looking at educational kiosk where there will be even more captions and information that's available for people on site to read through there. But I'll just say that our committee's been involved with this from the beginning and has had a big hand in steering the creation of what I think is a spectacular achievement for all of City of Spartanburg. I encourage y'all and members of the public to please come to the unveiling event. That's on June the 14th at 10 a.m. It'll be a big celebration. We're really going to launch this right and look forward to seeing this impact the generations to come and making folks aware of the rich history that's on the south side there and really a spectacular landmark on that transition between downtown and the south side. Next focus for our committee is to spend more time focusing on these sites throughout the city that warrant historic markers and working to compile information about that and work along with city staff to apply for these plaques through the state archives and to sort of just select and encourage more recognition for these sites throughout the city. So with your blessing, that is our intention, to be able to work further with city staff to really determine these sites and work through them in a more comprehensive sort of a way to get recognition in that way. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marilyn, you have any?
Yes, and that is their presentation, but if you guys have questions for them, they are here for questions.
No, I see that Representative Myers came in. Thank you for coming in. I didn't know if Representative Myers played a big part in the cultural wall as well. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to.
I would like to say something.
Sure.
Thank you all so much for allowing me to speak to the city council members and to the members and the citizens here at large. I am just overjoyed to see this project come to fruition. This project was the brainchild of my going to the city of Columbus for National League of Cities and seeing the monument, the wall, or what they call it, the bridge there in Columbus, how they really commemorated and honored the city, that is called the East Side in Columbus, of what that community used to be, and they wanted people to see and to have a future hope for achievements and accomplishments of what citizens there in the future could do. And so with that in mind, as soon as I went on that tour and I saw that, I said, this is Spartanburg, South Carolina. As many of you know, I went away for a while and I came back, and the Model Cities project came through. And basically, if you look there today, there's no vestige of what that community actually looked like, the vibrancy, the stores, the downtown area. And so I wanted to not only bring that back to life in some form, but also to give hope to young people growing up that they can accomplish and achieve whatever they want to do. As many of you all know, I'm a servant leader. I'm born of servant leader parents. And so we have always given to the community and always been very, very intentional in terms of helping our community. So I follow in their footsteps, and so I too aim to help my community in any way that I can with whatever resources and with whatever talents that I may have. Thank you so much to the city for allowing us to bring this.
Thank you. Thank you. And to the African American Heritage Committee, Cultural Committee, Mayor Talley, for your leadership, Brenda Lee, and the rest of the committee, Dr. Boozer, Mr. Wheeler, thank you guys. Brad, thank you. I cannot say it enough. I do not know everyone on the wall. I can't tell you exactly who's on the wall, but I truly, truly look forward to seeing the sheets come down, the lights come on, and the wall being revealed. Of course, I would definitely be there on the 14th, Lord's will, and but I truly look forward to it, and thank you for your hard work. Anybody else? No. Good.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to thank the committee for all of your hard work. Just being able to tell the story of all of the achievements of our African American community. So many times and quite often now we are seeing the history of achievements of our Black and brown communities being erased intentionally. And so I am very proud of our city. I'm very proud of Spartanburg County in embracing this project and doing what we can to push it forward and supporting you all in your efforts to tell a story, to tell the story from beginning to end, whether good, bad, or indifferent, because there are bad parts of some of these stories, but they're important to tell to make sure that we don't repeat histories of the past. So I'm super proud, and I cannot wait. I hope the weather is gorgeous, and I can't wait to celebrate all of your hard work. And I know Brenda Lee and myself were working on, speaking of historical markers, have been, I don't know, we're 3 years in now, Ms. Price, of a marker, and hope to see something come to fruition with that in the fall. It's just really important to continue to tell the story of Spartanburg, particularly for our young people. We have 7 higher institutions in our community, and oftentimes they think there's really nothing to stay here for, and so they get their education and our talent leaves our communities, and so this is a way to continue to tell our story and know that there is a place for those young people to stay and contribute and help us build and grow back what was once lost. So thank you all.
Councilwoman Littlejohn.
I just want to thank you all for all of the work that you have done, and I am looking forward to June the 14th, when the sheets come down and I can actually see all of the hard work that you have put in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another win for Spartanburg. Another win for Spartanburg. It's awesome, man. Thank you. Item 7, award of the bid for the 2025 roadway improvements. Presenter, Mr. Jay Squire, Public Works Director. Mr. Squires.
Yes, sir. Mayor, council, a little background. So we received bids for, it's an improvement project. Maybe we look at roadway, but it intertwines with our trail system, okay? So it's the thermoplastic and some crosswalks, and has to do with the solar flashing signals there too. We received one bid from Community First Developers out of Anderson for $70,000. If some of you may remember them, they were the ones who actually completed the Mary Black Rail Trail resurfacing project a few years back. So we're asking more or less asking us to allow to accept the bids and let the city manager enter into a contract with Community First for the Developers LLC for the completion of the project. $70,000 was paid from CTC, and also state money from Henderson Myers set aside as well. I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions to Mr. Squires?
Jay, I know this is great, by the way. So I know that there had been conversations, and I don't know that it was from this pool of money, obviously it wasn't, but there was gonna be improvements made to the intersection of East Main Street and Mills Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Where does that come in this process?
Yes, that's already been approved. Everybody kind of remember those mast arms that got damaged during the
Right.
Helene event. So that's the last thing to do. Once those mast arms are up, then that's going to be put into in the next month or so, along with the crosswalks and the pedestrian, upgraded pedestrian walkways as well on that section.
This is mostly downtown.
Well, it's all over.
Okay.
We've incorporated like C.C. Woodson. C.C. Woodson is one right there on, we have a lot of interest on that section getting across the road over the years. So with Mitch's help, and we always put that in our to-do list as well. And Farmers Market on Howard Street, and then on Art Street there. And this sort of that crosswalk with the Butterfly Rail Trail, trying to get some of that
Even it out.
traffic.
And do we envision this being part of a multi-faceted approach to improving those intersections throughout our city? I mean, do we anticipate having this type of presentation on an annual basis going forward?
I think we'll have it probably even sooner than that, because these asks that we've looked at over the years, and with some of these resources now, we can maybe get to it a lot sooner than we anticipated before. Yes.
Because I know we've talked, internally about certain other areas. I mean, I think about, near EP Todd, for example, where there's a need for some pedestrian access from those neighborhoods to the school, and can think of some other areas. I think this is a great thing that is much needed.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith? Everything's
Jay already answered.
Entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the bid as proposed.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. We have item A, to provide the adoption of the city operating budget. And the presenter, Mr. Story, city manager instead of Mr. Locke.
Mr. Locke and I will tag team, and by that, he'll take all the hard questions. But no, I have a short presentation just to regroup where we are in the budget process. We have tonight's meeting and 2 additional regularly scheduled meetings in the fiscal year, and for the consideration of the budget that would take effect July 1. This is the annual operating budget, which most of our attention through that process is on the general fund, but also includes our enterprise funds and special revenue funds. It is appropriate for the council to consider first reading tonight, make any amendments or adjustments you would like, and then also any amendments or adjustments at second reading are in order as well. I'll highlight just a few things, and then we can follow your lead in regard to questions and additional information. We are seeing in the community strong business-related revenue growth. That is a very good thing. The predominant funding source for our general fund, the largest single source for our general fund, is property taxes, and property taxes are move slowly up and down. But what can move more quickly with the growing economy are the business-related revenues, which are business license tax, which is revenue based on the gross receipts of businesses in the community, and hospitality tax, which relates to one of the primary modes of consumer spending, prepared food and beverages. Both of those areas we are seeing strong growth. We see overall general fund revenue growth of just under 5%. I'll highlight a few of the big expenditures. In other words, where is that revenue growth going as proposed? Well, the single largest item of increased expenditure would be in the area of personnel cost, and that is in 2 forms. One is a 3% across the board wage increase for the 420 members of the city team. That's a 3% uniform cost of living adjustment for all full-time employees. Secondly, we would propose to absorb a 11.8% increase in medical insurance premiums. As you know, we are part of the state medical plan, the same insurance coverage that is extended to all the teachers across the state and many other public employees. And based on a variety of factors, that our premiums will increase 11.8%. And rather than have those affect take-home earnings of our employees, we propose to absorb that cost. We are also seeing inflationary cost pressures in a few areas. About a 15% increase in general liability insurance premiums, which includes enhanced coverage for cybersecurity related risks, which we think is important to do. 15% increase in our annual contributions into our equipment replacement fund. The equipment replacement fund is the means by which we try to smooth out over time the variability in our equipment replacement costs, but in general, all of the equipment that we would project purchasing over the next decade or so is seeing cost pressures and cost increases. So we need to feed that fund a little more aggressively in order to maintain health over the long term. And also we're seeing with activity levels increasing pressures on an inflationary basis in a couple of departments. One I'll highlight is Public Works. So those are the major expenditure priorities. I'll quickly go over a couple of charts just to illustrate where we are seeing those changes. This is our roll-up of revenues into and general fund revenues into our largest categories. And you see there, it's the business-related fees and licenses where we're seeing growth there. And again, overall at about 5%. This is our highest level expenditure roll-up into our major functional areas. And you see it continues to be our priority, the core services of local government, police, fire, and public services or public works there. That's the, of our roughly $56 million general fund, about $36 million goes to those core services, as you might imagine. And overall, the biggest expense within those, this is the same outlays broken down by another categorization, and this one being personnel, operating, capital, and other uses. You see it remains the case, as it has been for many years, that our largest investment is the men and women of the city and their time, and that remains reflective of their importance to our organization. That's 2/3 of every dollar in the general fund. So we are happy to dig in and dive deep. There's one, as you know, we do our budget adoption by two separate actions. One is the actual allocation of dollars, and that is one ordinance, and then there's a separate ordinance that establishes the levy, which gives guidance to the county in regard to collection of property taxes. So those are the next two items on the agenda. The first requires a public hearing, which was noticed 15 days ago. So we will have that public hearing tonight, but both actions work in tandem to produce the balanced budget. So we would encourage you, were you to seek to make amendments, that those be balanced as well, so we are able to implement them appropriately. We are we made one other housekeeping change to the budget ordinance to streamline the logistical process of our equipment lease issuances. So some of you may have noticed the insertion of some additional paragraphs there. That just gives us a little bit of legal and operational convenience, but we will not be making our annual equipment replacement purchases without an itemized list. And so that action that'll be coming back to you at another agenda at that time. We'll just have a little bit less paperwork at that time for the equipment replacement portion of the discussion. Dennis and I are happy to attempt to answer any questions that you all may have, but I thought I'd give you a quick overview and then follow your lead. So,
Councilwoman Smith.
Yeah, thank you. I have several, but maybe I'll start where I have the most number of questions. Included in the budget is the schedule of positions across all of the departments and the changes either in titles or departments gaining or losing. And I wanted to go into a little bit of those because the essential services don't get done without the people in those positions to do them. And my first question, and I remember asking you this about this maybe in a staff update, but the 14 part-time parking attendants, that's to man the baseball stadium.
Correct.
And I might have asked this last time, forgive me for not remembering, but do we envision that being our responsibility moving forward in perpetuity?
Yes, our responsibilities take over at the stadium gates as part of our agreement there. Now, that's the total head count. Now, obviously, they don't all work each game, and we are working through, we're learning about where we need to have additional eyes and additional staff through that process. But yes, outside the stadium gates, ensuring a safe environment is to be our responsibility. And of course, we use parking-related revenue to offset that cost.
Of those 14, how many work a particular in that rotation? 5, 7, half?
I don't know. Perhaps Kevin or Mitch may know.
We've scaled it down a little bit, starting with the first games, being closer to 8, 10 folks, and scaling down over time.
Okay.
And as we continue to use grass pool, we'll continue to do so, evaluate the services, everything that.
Okay, good.
But we receive 100% of the gate revenue of the parking garage.
That's correct.
So that's
right.
Okay, great. And I saw we're getting a senior planner, which some people in the crowd should be very happy about, because we've gotten calls. Is the controller a new position
Yes.
in Dennis's office? Yes.
That is another senior financial professional that we think is important to add to our team, and that recruitment, selection, hiring process is going on this spring in anticipation of being able to fill the position early next year.
Great, okay. And then can you explain the 3 fire marshal positions?
Oh, that is that's one of the things that always causes confusion about the personnel schedule is sometimes we find for administrative purposes, it is easier to categorize by division differently. That's not a net new 3.
Okay.
That's 3 positions being moved into their own division within the fire department. That is part of the administrative changes that Chief Bruton is making to organize that department in a little bit more intuitive way.
Okay. My concern, and we've talked about this before, a main theme that all of us hear from our constituents is the basic services, just like you've talked about. And I didn't see any new positions in Public Works. And and I know others have expressed this too, as our physical boundaries slowly change, as we take on new developments that we'll talk about later today, I have concern that we can keep up the level of that service without additional positions. And so I wonder what your internal discussions were regarding that.
We are working through filling some vacancies right now. And that's a theme that extends across what I think of as our three primary service areas: Public Works, Police, and Fire. All three have, at this moment, vacancies that we are recruiting and hiring for. And if we're able to fill those positions successfully and retain that level, then that's the point at which we should be having discussions about increasing the authorized allotment, because we don't want to create a condition by which we artificially tie up city resources that we can't actually utilize. Jay and his team have done a terrific job balancing through what has been a heck of a year, as you might imagine, for Public Works team. And we are frankly still, I know that this is hard for some folks to accept, but the reality is when you perform field services that are tailored to your community, that have a sort of annual cyclical nature, and you have a hurricane and you can't do regular leaf collection until 6 weeks later, it takes a while for it to catch that 6 weeks back up, and we're working through that right now. Do I think we will need a larger headcount in Public Works over the next 5 years or so? Yes, ma'am, absolutely. But I think the first order of business is to fill the vacancies that we have now, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah, okay.
Finish?
I have more, but I'll let y'all go next and we'll come
Well,
back.
I was just, you didn't ask the one question, and I was like, well, whatever Megan's is gonna ask is probably what I'm concerned about. But I was just gonna ask about the police department and their needs, and I think there's about 10 position that is open, or need to be filled, should I say?
Yes.
And there is a plan to do a promotional to get people interested in it, and making sure that we have the funds to cover the,
Yes, ma'am.
the initiative.
Yes, ma'am. We are in the process of a trial initiative in police to provide financial benefit to our current officers as they recruit others to join the police department. We haven't done that particular kind of thing, at least not in many years. I'm not suggesting we haven't ever done it, but we haven't done it in quite some time. And we believe that the culture of our police department is unique in some respects. And those who know it best are the men and women of the department. And so we wanted to provide an additional financial encouragement for them to help us fill those vacancies, and by recruiting men and women that they think have either may already be in law enforcement with other agencies, or are well suited for a career in law enforcement. So there's 2 tiers of financial incentives for our team members in policing, and we're working out the kinks in that process, and we'll likely extend it to other pieces of the organization as well.
I like the way Chief Thompson explained that piece about who else would know the team better than a current teammate. So just recruiting someone for your team. So it's a good idea.
My other question is, because of what Megan says, we're increasing or moving out with other developments, and with what we're doing, hiring just what we need, we'll be able to cover everything that is going on, or will we have to do it again? Or
Well, the only constant will be change, I'll tell you that, in regard to local government services. But we think that the plan that's in front of you meets our current service levels for the subsequent year. I mean, we believe that we'll be adequately resourced to deliver necessary services for fiscal year 26 if this budget is implemented. I do think that we continue to look to the future and model out some things and find some ways to rebalance our efficiencies with some of our field services, and I think better use of technology and data analytics will help us know exactly what we need going forward.
Councilwoman Brown.
To both of your points, the police budget, is that increase based on an increase in authorized allotted positions as well?
No. Well, what you're seeing is the expectation of what you're seeing is the current authorized positions, roughly 10 or so are currently vacant, at the inflationary adjusted higher wages and benefit packages. So that's what's driving the increase, not the increase.
But this budget envisions a full roster in each of those categories.
Correct. We will not be holding back if we can, if we can. I look forward to the day of coming back here and saying we need to authorize additional positions.
Well, we've had this conversation a lot because since I've been on council, we've never had a full roster.
Correct.
Now, I know there's some issues there with regards to deployments and leaves and other things, but I think it's important to make sure, particularly as we are growing, that we calculate our expectations so that whatever the allotment is, we're at full capacity with particularly those positions. Because I think when we look at it from a budget standpoint and we see 118 officers on the beat, but we only have 108, our expectations are different. And so I know we've talked about, I think the referral bonus program is a great idea, but I know we've talked about other, whether we need additional recruiting support that begins, I know we do these things, but do we give them enough bandwidth to do what is needed? And again, I know that they do wonderful things with the resources they're allocated, but it becomes a question of us, is it a resource issue that we need to address? Can I ask?
Sure.
So Chris, this budget, and I guess we'll get to this in a minute in another item, but it does not include any kind of millage rate increase.
No, sir.
It does not contemplate any kind of fee increases across the board, right?
Right.
Okay. And then I'll start my drumbeat of advocacy now, given the teed up opportunity as it relates to the increase in equipment leasing fund. 15%, we contribute on a 10-year basis. Again, even more so than last year, I think this is an opportunity to be a lot tighter in the release of those funds. Now, I know there are obviously some pieces of equipment that are, at the very end of their utility, but I do believe that there are ways that we could mitigate the impact of that on an annual basis, and I've advocated that, time and time again. But seems like that would be a good opportunity to make that case now. And then I did notice a lot of the line items seem to kind of make sense. I did notice there's some lumpiness in year-over-year, budget-over-budget to the city attorney's category. I assume that's fee-driven based on individual circumstances from year to year.
Right, and
It's not a personnel headcount issue or anything other than just.
It's been about caseload and what we need to bring in specialty support for or don't in the given year.
And the city court has gone up.
Yes, they are moving more cases, and of course, we've been in a stable, fully staffed situation there. now and are in the permanent home, and they're just seeing higher volume of things move through.
Mr. Mayor. But you've volunteered to inspect all the equipment, correct? Chris, you mentioned the health insurance premiums, I believe it was an 11.8% increase. Wild. Yeah. But you mentioned there was a number of factors in that. Can you explain to folks, why that might be?
I can share some thoughts, and Dennis may have others. Our experience of our folks is not an outlier. The whole pool of insured lives is, all of the teachers across the, it's a massive pool. And we believe still that it's the most cost-effective option available for our team at this moment. Otherwise, we'd be recommending change. And we are doing preventive measures and still operate a pretty robust preventive infrastructure for our folks. But it's just the full statewide impact of a very, very large pool. I don't know if, Dennis, you want to add to that?
In the way that it's structured, it's not incentivized based on region or counties in terms of, a healthier community, in most states, have lower insurance premiums. That's usually how that works. But that's not how it's done. It's just across the board. Is that correct?
It is adjusted for our experience, but the adjustments for our experience is a fine tuning within a bigger trajectory of the statewide pool, I guess it's saying.
So the general trade-off is better.
That our experience factor has not gone up. I get what you're saying, Councilman Brown. If a community has a higher claims experience, their modifiers, they call it, will be higher. But ours has remained constant throughout the time. So we are not being penalized for our experience. There's just been an increase overall in the state that everybody is having to pay. But our experience has remained good. Our modifier has remained at 1.0 instead of going higher for a negative claim experience.
So the benefit of that is muted, but the trade-off is the capacity of the larger pool in terms of buying power and overall costs on the top side, right?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Littlejohn? Nope.
No, what Councilwoman Smith has already asked the questions that I had. Thank you.
Two other questions. Can you go back to the revenue slide? Yes. So we want people to follow the law and do the right thing. If I'm looking at that, almost a quarter of our revenue, 22%, is from people who are not doing the right thing, and we're fining them or taking something on the fines and forfeitures.
That's the percentage change from the adopted
Right.
budget to the proposed.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're right. But yes, explain what we're fining people for. What is that revenue from?
Well, the most common thing in municipal court is speeding tickets, traffic citations. And I don't have in front of me, but we'd be happy to dig into a breakdown of that. But the biggest driver of volume is traffic citations.
Okay, yes, that was a dumb question. Thank you for not laughing
No
me out of the
question
room.
is a dumb question.
The other revenues, that is the increase in 113%. I got the second part of my question right. What do those reflect? Why such a increase in change on that line?
A lot of that would be the interest income, I believe, that we're getting because of the surplus cash that we have, that we're getting interest earnings.
Okay.
Would those include ARPA dollars that we haven't spent?
Yeah.
Some of that, yeah, the money that was transferred over.
Okay.
Some of that we did.
And then my last question, last year we had a recommendation from the Public Safety Committee to add, I think it was 2 positions in PD. That was an in-house clinician to both serve our police department, but then also to go out and be able to make certain calls alongside our PD. I remember we asked about it last year. I think that position originally, several years ago, was grant funded and isn't anymore.
Right.
But is that still a discussion? We didn't receive a letter this year from Public Safety, but do we have anyone with those capabilities within our PD now?
We do have a partnership with mental health, but to be honest, Councilwoman, I don't know enough about the current day-to-day of that. I'd like to look into it and follow up separately about how that's working out. I mean, it is, their resources have been constrained from time to time. We think partnering with mental health is an important thing to do, but I need to do some homework.
Okay.
I think that was the last, they don't have the manpower to even have somebody to come work for us. I thought that was told. You have one today? Okay.
In the PD? That's a mental health professional? That's a civilian?
They work for mental health, yes, yes.
Non-sworn officer? Okay. So we do?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was my question. Thanks, Mitch.
I did my homework. No, I'm just, just joking.
All right, those
Mitch bailed me
conclude
out
my
again.
questions.
Another question, Councilman Brown?
Chris, the business license fees, I don't know, I know it was last year, and Bob, maybe you can add to this, the change in the fee scales?
Yeah, I think we
It's 2
updated
years.
some of the fee schedules.
Right, so has that played a factor into the increase in those fees? Are we seeing those numbers yet, or would that be for the next?
No, it was 2 years ago, we went to the state system and rebalanced, right? And then we update the codes annually to be consistent with state law. But those are always rebalancings based on IRS data. What's driving the additional revenue is more spending, more gross receipts of the businesses, right? More business activity in general. And as more people are doing business in Spartanburg, that revenue is growing, and it's growing faster than any of our others, but it's not due to policy change, it's due to more economic activity.
Chris, I don't think this makes it into our CAGR now, but you know, as we think about property taxes and some of these other fees, you know, I mean, I've asked before about, you know, we started experiencing a pretty significant, renaissance, if you will, 20 or so years ago. Many of those, you know, either, you know, fee in lieu of tax arrangements or any of the other special abatements, they're starting to legacy out. And so, you know, it would be good to see, not only for the 20, 25-year look back, but also as we think about future deals going forward, to have some sort of schedule that helps us on an annual basis see what has, you know, come on as a contributor at you know, full pay, to show the impact of that and to show the efficacy of those initiatives as it relates to the growth of not only our tax base, but enhancements to our community. Because I think it all fits into the equation. And I mentioned it in the police, but it really is a statement for the entire budget. You know, as we are in a real growth pattern currently, you know, you talked about anticipating needs as we continue to grow. I mean, I really think, you know, because our budget has, you know, I mean, it's, you know, the last couple of years has been, you know, incrementally growing, but not, you know, substantially, or, you know, it doesn't seem to have anything other than just kind of run rate growth to it. Which is a good thing as stewards of taxpayer dollars, but as we think about, you know, how we budget on a go-forward basis, I just don't want to be caught in a scenario like we have done previously, where we have, you know, a lot of catch-up to do, or some sort of, you know, shock item in the budget because of circumstances that have caught up to us because we haven't, you know, paid attention to something over time.
And we think carefully about those. There's several, you know, what might be, the last thing we want to do is move, you know, to use the analogy of your home that we've used before. You don't want to be the household that moves in new furniture and then the next day the roof leaks, right? Because you feel pretty foolish that you bought the new furniture instead of doing that. So we are looking carefully at that. There are several things that I'll point to you that give me confidence. One is that we've structured a lot of our economic deals that ratchet up annually, right? So that means even if the market doesn't increase, our revenue from those increases annually, which builds on that. Second thing gives me some comfort is what we've done to transition our facilities. You know, we are working on having the vast majority of the city team under relatively new roofs. I mean, not trying to make a play on my analogy, but you know, that does make a difference, right? To that. And we've done a whole lot of work on modernizing our stormwater infrastructure, which is an area of a good deal of exposure. Jay and his team have done a lot. For example, one of the things that folks are perhaps inconvenienced by occasionally now is the nighttime shutdown of Church Street. That's infrastructure work, and that's dealing with some infrastructure that was 100 years old. So I feel good, and I will never say that we won't get surprises. You know, we got a big surprise in this current fiscal year in the form of Hurricane Helene, but feel pretty good about the efforts of the team to check on those kind of risks and to be communicating well with our partners about those risks, and to be pushing forward. You know, we have seen some significant investments that will pay off in the long run to allow hopefully our revenue growth to outpace some of our inflationary pressures, and that's the balance we're trying to stay slightly ahead of.
Gotcha.
One last question. How does our Morgan Square redesign show up in this budget?
It does not directly. You will notice that we anticipate funding that by the hospitality tax with the debt issuance tied to hospitality tax revenue. Is how we anticipate funding that project. There are two things you'll notice if you dig in carefully in the hospitality tax schedules. One is we had a piece of debt on which we made our last payment this year. So that creates recurring budget space to go towards that new project. Secondly, we have some additional debt coming off in 29 in that fund, which will create additional budget space. So our intent is to use that budgetary capacity to finance over a period of years the Morgan Square project. You'll notice that there's what do we call it, a reserve, a capital project reserve within the H-Tax fund. That is that budget space. When we issued the permanent financing for Morgan Square, that reserve would then be deployed to pay debt service on that issue, and then the same amount of space in the hospitality tax budget going forward over the course of the debt.
Okay.
Good, good.
I just want to thank Dennis and
Yeah.
his team. This is a lot of time and effort and probably likely stress. I don't envy, the numbers, and it's a lot of work that you all put into making sure that we are good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars, and that we have a balanced budget every year. So thank you to you and your team and all that you all do for us.
Good, thank you. I need a motion to go into public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we open a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Public hearing. The way the public hearing works, you have 20 minutes per side. If you're in favor of this budget moving forward, you can come and speak on it. And then if you're not in favor of the budget or have some other issue, you can come and speak on it as well. Each side has 20 minutes. No one person can speak over 10. So if you like what you just heard from Chris Story and some of the things you just seen, come up and speak on behalf of the positively on behalf of the budget. Please come forward. Give us your name, your address, and what you like about it. Opposite, if you did not like what you heard, if you do not like the budget, would like to see something else placed in the budget, please come up and let your concerns be heard. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Do I hear a motion to adopt the city operation budget for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, first reading?
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Great job, Mr. Locke. We're still going to ordinance, item 9, to raise revenue for the city of Spartanburg the fiscal year 2025 through 26 to levy taxes on all real estate and personal properties except those exempt by law. The presenter will be Mr. Locke this time?
Well, yes, as Chris already said,
Yeah.
the millage rate is remaining the same. So if there are any questions about that, I'm happy to ask those, but the millage rate is staying the same at 103.2.
So Dennis and maybe Chris too, when we did the reappraisals and the reassessment, there was some question about the rollback that we enacted on the millage rate and whether or not that calculation was done correctly as it related to the formulas and what it would mean for existing properties in that. We now have, what, 1 or 2 years under that. Do we remain confident that the formula that we used was appropriate and in line with what the expectations were for all of us?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Any other questions of Mr. Locke?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we pass the ordinance to raise revenues for the city.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Locke. Resolution. Item 10, resolution in pursuant to section 4-1-170C Code of Laws, South Carolina, 1976, as amended, consent to placement of certain properties within the corporate limits of the city of Spartanburg in a joint industrial and business park of Spartanburg and Cherokee County. Resolution 2025-009. Mr. Kohler, presenter, city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is sort of a housekeeping resolution. You might recall some time ago you approved a development agreement for a project out on Florida Avenue, going past the hospital on the left-hand side, Van Rock Properties,
Correct.
Brian DeBruin. As part of that development agreement, the city, and they're going to do about 95 townhomes and some small commercial or retail space. As part of the development agreement, the city agreed to participate or assist them in getting some tax rebates. The way that happens is the property gets placed in what's known as a multi-county industrial park. While it's in the park, it will pay a fee in lieu of taxes, and that allows the county and the city to adjust those taxes. Standard, regular property taxes can't be adjusted, but fees in lieu can be. So this resolution before you authorizes the placement of that property into the park. County will also do a resolution before county council, and it will be placed in the park for the next, I think it's 15 years. If you agree, it would be a motion and a second and an approval of the resolution. Glad to answer any questions.
Bob, we've done so many of these, but clarifying question, because we have had some developers of late we've voted on these things and they haven't been able to finish their project. Is the park project specific? Like if Van Rock, for whatever reason, isn't able to do their townhomes, they sell the property to someone else who wants to come in, that FILO only existed for
Correct.
Van Rock Holdings?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Just
we
wanted
would
to
work with the
clarify.
county to nullify and void that development agreement and start over again.
And the fee schedule is specified in the development agreement.
It is. I've got a copy if you're interested, but as y'all saw this back in, I guess it was several months ago. But yes, there's a fee schedule. It's roughly a 60% discount in year one, and then that decreases to just a 10% discount in year 10. So by year 10, they'll be paying 90% of the property taxes.
Any other questions?
I was going to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we approve Revolution A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. B, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute documents related to the micro-transit program. That will be Mr. Limehouse, Assistant City Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. Christie very clearly let me know that I was only on the agenda to allow y'all for a stretch break. Or a diet Dr. Pepper if you need it. So I'll do my best to make it quick. My mom always said, if you're going to take the time to do something, take the time to do it right. And so I know there's a whole lot of excitement for microtransit, and we appreciate y'all's patience as Dennis, Lewis, and I have taken the time to research this, meet weekly, and get things going. We did a significant amount of research to prepare this RFP and put out, and we had tremendous response and had 5 great proposals come back. But grading it on the criteria that we did, VIA was the winner. They were so thorough and thoughtful in their proposal. Not only were they cost effective, but they had some comprehensive solutions that we felt compelled that we would like to ask your permission to enter in negotiations with them over the contract, because there were some considerations that we would like to rightly take the time to discuss with them and their expertise, so that our pilot may be successful, and so the expansion, as long as the pilot is successful, that we can expand appropriately and do so well for our citizens. So we're here tonight to ask for your blessing to do so, but certainly happy to answer any questions if you have some.
Yes, Kevin, I just want to thank you for the work that you've been doing on this, because I have some constituents who are in their need of this transportation. And I look forward to this coming into fruition.
Well, Ms. Littlejohn, I appreciate it. Truly, it goes to Dennis and Lewis. They let me carry the bags and occasionally talk in the meetings. And then Lewis is the one who gets out there on the buses a lot of times when we have shortages and works really hard. So it's a team effort, and we really appreciate all of y'all's support and kind words. Thank you, ma'am.
Kevin, again, to echo Ruth, thank you for what you're doing with the team on this. I think it has potential to have a real impact, assuming the pilot goes like we hope it will and we're able to scale it citywide. The documents that you will execute, what is the initial financial scope of the pilot estimated to be?
So that'll be some of the stuff we have in our negotiations. However, I can tell you without spoiling those negotiations, that they, or maybe Dennis can tell you better, that they're within the budget that we provided for y'all in the past.
And that budget is funded by a grant?
Yes, we still have some grant money available from COVID that's actually going to be reimbursed at 100%. It's approximately $400,000, a little bit more. And as Kevin says, we don't want to spoil the negotiations, but based on the responses that we got back, it's going to meet that budget amount. And that's all going to be covered by a grant that we already have.
Okay. And do we envision a scaled pilot?
Yes, sir. That's one of the reasons we want to talk to them. Again, one of the reasons we were impressed with VIA was the thoughtfulness of their plan, and to have conversations with them and their expertise on how they've deployed in other places, so that we can take a look at our plan, hear their thoughts on it, and, you know, scale appropriately and make any changes if needed.
And I know you'll keep us in the loop as we go through that process, but I think it'll be important to get regular feedback and have timeline expectations and things like that, so that we can measure the efficacy of it.
Yes, sir, and that's another component of that. We want to lean on VIA to help us with communications, to make sure that before we roll this out, people know, here's how to use the app, or here, this is coming, or here's who you can call to get, you know, questions answered, whatever the case may be. There's a tremendous amount of nuanced details that we will go over with them to do our absolute best to make this successful for folks. Ms. Littlejohn, to your point, it's on our hearts how much people rely on public transit. And we want to take the time to do this right so that people can rely on it and it can be as successful as possible.
Councilwoman Sally.
I just want to say thank you, Kevin, for doing the homework and listening to us and listening to the citizens, because this is a needed issue, and I'm looking forward to it working.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate y'all's support.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Limehouse. We have C, resolution authorizing city manager to execute development agreement between the city of Spartanburg and Drayton Townhomes LLC for the project located adjacent to the intersection of Drayton Road and Skyland Drive. Mr. Story.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is consistent with the goals that we have for adding housing supply in locations with the infrastructure to support it, in environments that would make for great neighborhoods, and in a mixed use, a mixed income approach. What is before you is a development agreement, authorization for development agreement for a $22 million investment that would include 88 market rate townhomes and 12 townhomes to be workforce housing units. Those units would be income and rent restricted to 80% of the area median income. The townhomes would be situated on a property that's assembled at the northeast intersection of Drayton and Skyland Drive. It will create a new attractive gateway feature to those two, where those two 4-lane roads come together. John Montgomery is the developer. As you know, he has successfully executed similarly structured projects on the north side, and executed the adaptive reuse of schoolhouse lofts, and done several other projects, including early leadership to the efforts to do the Drayton lofts, which have been a successful addition to the community. We believe this fits with our housing development goals, and the development agreement sets out the terms and conditions, and we would recommend your approval.
Questions? Recommend a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend that we move forward on the resolution to execute the development agreement between the city and Drayton Townhomes.
Here's, all in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Story, stay up.
Yes, sir.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute documents related to a property, the Bethlehem Center.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as you know, the Bethlehem Center has existed as a private nonprofit serving the needs of the Spartanburg community. It has been in the Highland neighborhood since 1950 in a facility there that both the Bethlehem Center staff and the Highland neighborhood would like to see a modernized facility. In the discussions of the Highland Transformation planning work and in meeting with the Bethlehem Center leadership as they work towards their vision of a new facility, all parties concluded that the optimal location for that within the Highland neighborhood would be on South Daniel Morgan Avenue, near its intersection with Highland Avenue. That would create a highly visible, prominent place from which the Bethlehem Center could serve the community. They are in the Bethlehem Center as a private independent nonprofit. Of course, is working to develop plans and raise funds for this facility, but they have asked if this property could be the site, and we recommend to you all that it should be. And what is before you is an action that would authorize me to move forward with an agreement that would set the terms and conditions under which we would convey the property to them at no cost. The vision and dream for the new Bethlehem Center was accelerated with support from the Movement 2030 plan. You'll see that reference in the document as well. And we continue to work with them on questions and discussions related to programming and fundraising and things of that nature. But this land component, we wanted to go ahead and bring it forward to you all because it's fundamental to the ability to sort of plan out the project going forward. It doesn't preclude an ongoing discussion about potentially the city being a capital funder, but again, that is not reflected in this particular action tonight. This is to clear the hurdle of the site and then allow time and opportunity for the Bethlehem Center to communicate with the public and other stakeholders about their plans and visions. But we would recommend your approval of this action related to the land.
Do I hear any questions concerning the land at the Bethlehem Center?
Mr. Mayor, just
Yeah.
so I'm clear, this is giving them the land is contingent upon the Bethlehem Center being built on that lot, correct?
Correct. And if they were to, for some reason, decide some different outcome, then the land would revert to the city.
Any other questions?
Is there a term on this?
The agreement has expectation that they move forward with their planning, and I believe it's a 3-year window specified, 3-year window. So.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. I cannot believe.
So sorry, y'all.
That phone
That has
is
never
on.
happened. Oh, I still have someone set as an emergency. It might be an emergency, but they'll just have to wait.
All right, we're Why didn't I scratch item 11? You probably got all them questions. Staff updates. Staff updates.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions, but in the interest of time, I didn't plan any substantive updates.
Sounds good to me.
Like it.
All right, city council update. The way this is gonna work, we have 2 minutes.
Okay, I just want to also tell Dennis, and in addition to Dennis and his team, our Hospitality Tax Grants Committee, Councilwoman Jamie and I were on that along with a group of our residents who put in a whole lot of hours to review grant applications from different nonprofits that help drive hospitality tax or the quality of life here in Spartanburg. So just another example of resident involvement, and I imagine we'll be hearing soon more about other openings. So that's it. Thank you all.
That's it. Thank you. Councilwoman Littlejohn.
I was thinking that we were going to be here at 9 o'clock tonight, so I don't have anything. Thank you.
That's good.
Still might be.
Councilwoman Sally.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to each of you for staying here and observing and listening to what has been presented tonight. But I also want to say my prayer of thanks to those who had lost their lives in service to protect us. And bless my nephew who has gone to heaven. Who lost his life coming home for vacation from Iraq. God bless all those in remembrance of love.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And we're sorry for your loss. Councilman Ford.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Memorial Day is a time for reflection and thanks for all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country, and we should never lose sight of that, and sorry for your loss. I'd also, locally, shifting gears, had the opportunity to be with you at Meeting Street Academy last week for the graduation or advancement ceremony of the 5th grade class. I've had the privilege and honor of serving as a mentee for the last 3 years, and it's been a great experience, and it was good to see I was a mentor, and to see my mentee advance on to the next level was exciting. Your speech was good, and I think very well received. You got a lot of applause, of course, you asked for them, so very good. And then also congratulate Mitch Kennedy's cousin, who got engaged at the Hub City Spartanburgers game on Friday night during an air guitar contest. So you think you go to an air guitar contest and an engagement breaks out. It was really exciting.
Pretty awesome.
And then, spirit of Rob Rain, thanks everybody for being here.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, I was with you. I was like, I don't want to keep folks here till 9:30. Janie will be thinking about you. Sorry for your loss. And I don't have anything else other than had an opportunity this past weekend to play golf for the first time.
Okay.
It was pretty nice. 18 holes.
First time.
Wow.
And I need a lot of lessons.
I played a
So
full
if you
18.
know anyone who can
Mayor
hook me
Talley.
up with some,
Mayor Talley.
there we go. I averaged like 8 strokes per hole. So I need. $2 a hole. Okay.
If you only play 9 holes, you got it.
Thank y'all for being here.
And as was mentioned, to our servicemen and women during the Memorial Day celebration, just throughout the city, the county, the upstate, the state, thank everyone for their service. Again, for your loss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sally, we're sorry to hear that. Councilman Farmer mentioned at Meeting Street's advancement ceremony for the 5th graders. That was an awesome opportunity. Dennis Locke was there as well. He's a mentor over to some of the kids, and it may be someone that I'm missing in the audience, but just a great time for those little ones to move on. And all the other graduates, all of our high schools have graduated here in Spartanburg County at this point, and so congratulations to all of our graduates. Moving on, and hopefully decide to stay at home. Public Works, and Jay left. I had the opportunity to have lunch with Public Works last week, had a burger with those guys, but just thanking them for their hard work and their dedication. It was National Public Works Week, the 18th through the 24th. And, you know, you think about Public Works and what they've gone through, you know, here the last few years. And they've been Johnny on the spot, man, you know, really. They truly have stepped up to all the events that we've had. So with that,
Can I make
yes, sir.
a motion? But I do want to make one comment too, that we kind of let it slide as we were adopting the resolution, but want to thank John Montgomery and Montgomery Development for their contribution and commitment, continued commitment to Spartanburg. And you know, John's been a good partner and has developed some quality projects, and this is just another quality project that will expand our tax base and address some of our housing issues. And so want to thank them for their commitment. And having said that, I'd make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming this evening. If he wouldn't have left, we would have remembered.